The lion charges into the hunt with the familiar dominance of a grassland apex predator. But the prey does not flee. It suddenly turns back and pushes forward at close range. Moments later, another predator appears, turning that mistake into new pressure. If even the lion can miscalculate, who truly commands the savannah? Across the African grasslands, few rivals keep the lion under constant pressure like the spotted hyena. This is not just a species that follows opportunity. It is also a highly effective hunter, built with remarkable endurance under temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of that, the rivalry between them has become a familiar rhythm of life on the savannah. Spotted hyenas rarely face a lion alone. They rely on numbers and coordination to create pressure. A single adult weighs around 140 pounds, but the true advantage comes from the group, with a clan often numbering in the dozens under a female-led structure. At times, just as a pride secures its catch, low, compact, and patient figures begin to appear along the edge of the grassland. At first, only a few individuals approach to test the situation, but very quickly, a quiet arc forms, tightened by broken calls and short, repeated advances. They apply pressure through numbers, constantly shifting direction, forcing the lions to turn again and again to maintain their position. Without the support of an adult male, the balance can shift rapidly. The moment the lions lose rhythm, the hyenas move in, take control of the prize, and pull the advantage away. But when a full-grown male appears, the pressure often drops almost immediately. On the savannah, power does not belong to the one who reaches first, but to the one that can hold the opportunity longer. At first glance, the giraffe appears graceful, almost removed from direct confrontation. But on the African savannah, first impressions can be misleading. Standing over 18 feet tall and weighing close to 3,000 pounds, this animal carries a quiet but formidable strength, enough to make any predator pause before closing in. When a pride of lion begins to focus on a calf, the atmosphere tightens immediately. This is when the mother reveals a powerful protective instinct. Instead of retreating, she holds her ground, using legs nearly 6 feet long as a strong defensive line. The moment a lion commits to an approach, the response can come almost instantly. A single well-placed kick is enough to force hesitation across the entire pride. The calm of the grassland gives way to pounding hooves and a sudden shift backward from the predators. In that moment, it is no longer grace that stands out, but the remarkable defensive strength of a mother protecting her young. In the Serengeti, lions fail in nearly 75% of attempts against full-grown adults. Each precise strike becomes a clear warning. On this edge of survival, height is not only for vision, it is a powerful defensive advantage. After repeated attempts, the pride eventually withdraws from an opponent that proves difficult to overcome. Under the harsh savanna sun, the contrasting stripes of the zebra do more than create a signature image. They can disrupt a predator's focus when the herd clusters together. Behind that appearance is a body built for rapid response. An adult can weigh around 700 pounds, with a solid frame strong enough to turn even a brief hesitation from an opponent into a chance to break away. For that reason, an encounter with a lion is not just a test of speed, it is also a test of distance, timing, and reflex. When the gap closes too tightly, the zebra can pivot quickly, delivering a rear kick with forces of around 3,000 pounds per square inch, using both hind legs, or bite back to create a critical moment of separation. On the African grasslands, the zebra does not survive by chance. It holds its ground through speed, formation, and the ability to read the right moment. As a result, what may seem like an easy target can become a difficult test for the predator itself. Along the silt-colored rivers of Africa, the hippopotamus does not need display to assert its presence. A full-grown individual can weigh around 4,000 pounds, with tusks extending over 1 foot beyond thick gray skin. By day, it remains submerged in cool water, giving the entire stretch of river an almost deceptive calm. But in that place, calm has never meant safety. Beneath the surface lies an invisible boundary, where every unfamiliar movement is closely monitored. The moment a predator moves too close, that seemingly still mass can surge forward in an instant. The hippo rises abruptly, using its thousands of pounds to completely disrupt the approach. In that moment, for the lion, stepping away from the water's edge is often the only way to avoid being drawn into an unfavorable encounter. During the dry season, as water levels drop and living space tightens, the risk of confrontation becomes more defined. At the shoreline, where the lion often looks for an opportunity to close in, the hippo becomes a wall of counter-pressure. Despite its heavy build, it can surge to around 20 miles per hour over short distances. Yet, under prolonged pressure, it also recognizes that the water is where its greatest advantage remains. In reality, there have been many moments when predators misjudged this massive force. Without complex tactics, a single decisive closure of the hippo's jaws is enough to shift the entire balance of the encounter. Across the semi-arid grasslands of East Africa, the Oryx is not an easy target to pressure. Its compact, muscular body can reach around 400 pounds, carrying a pair of straight horns nearly 4 feet long, held like two ready spears. For this antelope, defense is not a last resort. It is a built-in strategy for survival. Even against African wild dogs, it can disrupt the rhythm of an attack. That is how it holds its ground across the dry plains. When a group of inexperienced lion begins to close in, the hunt quickly turns into a test in reverse. They narrow the distance from multiple angles, using sparse, low shrubs to conceal their approach. But the Oryx does not panic. It lowers its center of gravity, pivots slightly, and keeps its horns aligned toward the greatest threat, forcing the hunters to slow down. At the most critical moment, just a single step taken at the wrong angle can shift the balance entirely. In that instant, the savanna reinforces an old rule. Instinct may begin the hunt, but discipline, spacing, and experience decide who holds control to the very end. The African savanna does not belong only to those with greater physical strength. The African wild dog, weighing around 70 pounds, carries a very different advantage: endurance, coordination, and pack discipline. When a lone female lion steps into their territory, tension rises immediately. The wild dogs do not rush in chaotically. They hold formation, taking turns to close in, constantly shifting direction to apply pressure from multiple angles while maintaining a safe distance. The encounter quickly becomes a test of patience. The lioness remains a formidable force, but under that steady, persistent pressure, each turn and response begins to drain more energy. When the cost of continuing outweighs the benefit of holding ground, withdrawal becomes the practical choice. On the harsh grasslands, it is a clear reminder. The final advantage does not always belong to the larger one, but to the one that can sustain the rhythm longer. The African buffalo has never been an easy target across the open grasslands. For the lion, it represents a vital source of energy, one that can sustain the pride for days. But with that value comes significant risk. An adult can weigh over 1,100 pounds, carrying enough muscle and mass to force any predator to think carefully before closing in. To approach such prey, lions often spread out, attempting to disrupt the herd's movement and isolate the young or the weak. But when pushed into a position where defense becomes necessary, buffalo rarely react in panic. They turn to face the threat, lower their horns, and hold formation with remarkable focus. A single, well-timed response can be enough to break the lion's momentum and force them to step back. What stands out even more is their refusal to abandon one another. At the first alarm, the herd, especially dominant adults, can quickly regroup, forming a strong defensive wall around their own. In many situations, this unity shifts the balance, leaving the lions at a disadvantage and prompting a retreat to safer ground. On the savanna, the buffalo does not rely on size alone. It stands firm through discipline, endurance, and the instinct to protect as a group. And in that environment, even a top predator must sometimes hesitate before a force that cannot be easily broken. With a single dive, the eagle turns open space into a trap. It is not just power, but timing calculated with chilling precision. From above, it observes, waits, then closes in with a decisive approach. The moment it begins to descend, nearly every escape route disappears at once. That is what makes it one of the most formidable rulers of the sky. In the three-dimensional world of the Amazon canopy, primates rely on the dense web of branches as an almost impenetrable refuge. With leaps exceeding 30 feet, they command the air through refined agility. Yet nature always creates a perfect counterbalance: the Harpy eagle. With a wingspan of over 6.5 feet, this predator can tilt its body up to 90 degrees, navigating through narrow gaps just inches wide with remarkable precision. Once a target is locked, its talons, larger than those of a polar bear, apply an extraordinary gripping force. Even species with exceptional hold, such as sloths, can be pulled away from the tree by this powerful mechanical force. The moment the target is lifted from the canopy, the encounter is effectively decided. The eagle's strength lies in turning the complexity of the forest into an advantage, transforming the smallest openings into pathways to success. It is the pinnacle of survival strategy. Mountain goats are masters of balance, holding firm on ledges barely 2 inches wide. With a body weight of around 150 pounds, their specialized hooves make them nearly untouchable on sheer cliffs. Yet along this fragile boundary, there exists a predator that has turned gravity into its most formidable ally: the golden eagle. Once a target is identified, often a young or isolated individual, the eagle dives like an arrow through the air at astonishing speed. It does not attempt to lift prey that can weigh up to 10 times its own body mass. Instead, it uses immense momentum to force the goat off its secure footing. In a brief moment, the predator leverages drops of hundreds of feet to determine the outcome. The combination of precise calculation and the risk of free fall transforms the open air into an inescapable arena. As the dust settles, silence returns to the mountains. The lesson of the cliff is always costly. By using force and terrain, the eagle turns an uneven encounter into a display of refined strategy, a true master of survival. Within the hierarchy of the grasslands, ground predators such as wolves and coyotes often carry themselves as dominant hunters. Armed with powerful jaws, they rarely concern themselves with threats from above. Yet the golden eagle does not follow those rules. It is a disruptor of order, willing to confront some of the most formidable hunters with a single turn of the body. The encounter begins when a cunning coyote attempts to take over animal remains. With a bite force of more than 200 pounds per square inch, it repeatedly makes probing feints to test the sky predator's reaction. But the eagle does not give ground easily. It spreads its massive wings to amplify its size and uses its sharp talons as a solid defensive barrier. The clash between teeth and talons unfolds in complete caution. Even with wolves, nothing comes easily. In a decisive moment, the eagle descends from hundreds of feet above, turning gravity into a powerful dive. The confrontation often ends quickly before those on the ground can fully respond. Because in nature, not a single moment is wasted. Survival on the savanna is a game of fragile probabilities. To sustain a powerful body of around 14 pounds, the martial eagle is driven to take on its boldest challenges, engaging targets several times its own weight. Its opponent is the antelope, a master of speed capable of bursts near 50 miles per hour and leaps up to 10 feet to break away. Yet in the wild, heightened vigilance can sometimes work against the herd, triggering sudden, chaotic movement under pressure. If a young individual falls out of rhythm for even a moment, the martial eagle narrows its nearly 8-foot wingspan, turning its entire body mass into a focused aerial impact. Rather than prolonged pursuit, it relies on gravity to generate an impact force of roughly 400 pounds per square inch. This force is concentrated through its talons, quickly overpowering the target to meet its energy demands. In another moment, a mother antelope attempts to turn her body into a living shield for her young. But such efforts often last only an instant. A brief lapse is enough for the young to be separated from protection and lifted from the ground. Nature wastes no movement. Every loss sustains another cycle of life. That is the unforgiving rule of survival. The water's surface is a master of deception. Light bends through layers of ripples, causing the prey's position to shift between what is real and what appears to be. To succeed, the eagle relies not only on sharp vision, but also on the ability to read the movement of the water from hundreds of feet above. The eagle quietly scans the lake, waiting for the moment a fish swims closer to the surface or appears within an open patch of water. When the opportunity emerges, it folds its wings, adjusts its descent, and extends its talons, touching the surface in an instant to secure the target. And success does not always come from a direct attempt. At times, its presence and timing alone are enough to prompt other birds to release their catch. The encounter concludes with a decisive wing beat toward the forest canopy. In the world of fishing hunters, the reward doesn't belong to the one who dives the most, but to the one who reads the water correctly and acts at the perfect moment. Australia is home to the largest marsupial on Earth. The red kangaroo appears as a surge of muscle, weighing up to 200 pounds, balancing on a tail as sturdy as steel, and standing nearly 6 feet tall amid sun-scorched grass. It is not merely a grazer, it is a vigilant, reactive stronghold, equipped with a kick powerful enough to command respect. Yet from the heated air above, a massive shadow begins its descent. With a wingspan reaching nearly 10 feet, the wedge-tailed eagle engages vision that functions like a zoom lens, locking onto a target from up to 2 miles away. A calculated challenge against a symbol of strength begins, reflecting the intensity of survival. The aerial approach does not begin with brute force, but with precise calculation. The eagle narrows its wings and dives like an arrow through the wind. Its most formidable asset is not the hooked beak, but razor-sharp talons, capable of stopping a target's escape in an instant. For a young kangaroo, this becomes a decisive moment shaped by timing and position. In rare situations, 2 or 3 individuals coordinate their movements, taking turns descending from multiple angles to wear down the opponent's stamina. However, the kangaroo does not yield easily. It uses its tail as a brace, ready to counter any approach that comes too close. The encounter ends in the stillness of the outback, with no outcome claimed. Yet the wedge-tailed eagle has demonstrated that it possesses the resolve to challenge even the most formidable ground-dwelling opponents. On open grassland, speed has never been a guaranteed ticket to survival. The hare depends on constant changes of direction, using its powerful hind legs to burst to around 45 miles per hour and carve sharp zigzag paths that throw off the rhythm of most pursuers. But the eagle does not hunt through strength alone. The moment the prey cuts in a new direction, it instantly spreads its tail feathers like a rudder in midair, tightening its flight path through sharp turns with remarkable precision. In a single moment, its talons close in, turning the hare's speed advantage into a mistake that cannot be corrected in time. A 30% success rate may not seem high, but it is enough to maintain order across the grasslands. In this world, the one that prevails is not simply the fastest, but the one that controls momentum more effectively. It does not simply press forward. The orca turns the ice into a tightening force against its target. Each close approach reflects a remarkable level of strategic thinking in the ocean. Precise group coordination removes every natural advantage the target may have. Within that controlled scenario, any attempt to shift the outcome fades away. Once the strategy fully locks into place, the encounter reaches a decisive turning point. The orca is the largest member of the dolphin family, reaching about 30 feet in length and weighing around 10,000 pounds. It communicates through sophisticated sound systems, remembers migration routes, and coordinates hunts with exceptional precision. Beneath its black and white exterior lies a highly developed brain, allowing it to adapt its strategies from shallow coastal waters to the open ocean. This collective intelligence, adaptability, and coordinated strength have placed the orca at one of the ocean's most capable strategic predators. The ocean has never been as quiet as it appears. Here, the blue whale stands as a wonder nearly 100 feet long and weighing more than 300,000 pounds, yet it carries the nature of a gentle giant. Its immense size provides extraordinary endurance, but it also turns every maneuver into a major energy burden during a prolonged survival chase. The pursuit begins as the orca pod accelerates, closing in on the giant as it tries to escape at about 20 miles per hour. As the distance narrows, they apply a strategy of steady exhaustion. Rather than rushing in all at once, they take turns applying pressure, cutting off every opportunity for the target to recover its rhythm at the surface. Each sweep of the blue whale's tail, weighing thousands of pounds, is powerful enough to send shockwaves through the water, yet the pod's collective intelligence counters it through calculated agility. After hours of isolation and sustained pressure, the endurance of the largest animal on Earth gradually fades. Once the whale no longer has enough strength to fully wield its only true weapon, its massive tail, the balance of the encounter is effectively decided. Once again, the ocean repeats an old but powerful lesson. Solitary strength often becomes the target of disciplined coordination. Along the coastal migration routes of the North Pacific, the gray whale appears as one of the most enduring travelers on Earth. An adult, reaching about 50 feet in length and weighing over 80,000 pounds, carries its most valuable treasure alongside it, its calf. This maternal bond forms the first line of defense, yet it also becomes a limitation as speed is reduced by the vulnerability of the newborn. When the orca pod enters the scene, the situation does not begin with a direct move. Instead, it becomes a demanding test of breathing rhythm and endurance for the mother. Some individuals trail behind to disrupt her swimming pattern, while others press in from both sides, forcing constant changes in direction. The greatest pressure lies in patience, as the orcas wait for the moment when the formation weakens, creating an opening to separate the calf from the protection of its massive guardian. Despite her immense size, the mother whale cannot break through a formation controlled by some of the ocean's most intelligent minds. Each attempt to accelerate only increases the strain on her breathing and drains her energy more quickly under sustained pressure. It is a clear demonstration that when persistence aligns with collective intelligence, even the most powerful creatures can be pushed into a disadvantage. Far from the heart of the ocean, along the coast of Patagonia, large sea lions weighing around 800 pounds gather along the shoreline. They enjoy rare moments of rest after demanding fishing journeys. Yet the calm on the sand is only a fragile illusion, because just beyond the surf, dark shapes begin to emerge. The orca is already prepared for one of the most sophisticated survival strategies in the natural world. As the tide reaches its peak, one orca suddenly accelerates to nearly 30 miles per hour. Instead of stopping in safe water, it makes a bold move, driving its body of nearly 12,000 pounds straight onto the shallows. This is intentional stranding, a remarkable display of ocean intelligence, where the orca uses the force of the waves to erase the boundary between sea and shore. In only a brief instant, the distance to the target disappears. With a body turn measured down to the inch, the black and white hunter removes every advantage the terrain once offered. And when the dark figure slips back toward deeper water, what remains is not only silence on the beach, but a clear reminder of the position held by one of the ocean's greatest tactical hunters. The ocean is a kingdom where power often belongs to the one with the sharpest teeth. The great white shark, reaching about 20 feet in length with a bite force of around 4,000 pounds per square inch, has long been seen as one of the ocean's most formidable hunters. Then from the deep, massive, dark shapes begin to move in. Once the orcas arrive, the advantage of the solitary hunter disappears at once. This is no longer a simple pursuit, but a coordinated operation. Through echolocation, the pod assesses its opponent and focuses on the point where its stamina is most limited. The encounter intensifies as the orcas move with synchronized collective force. With one precise move, they turn the opponent upside down, triggering tonic immobility. In only a brief moment, the giant loses effective control of its movement, becoming almost motionless. Without turning the moment into graphic violence, the orcas bring the encounter to its conclusion with calm control and absolute precision. The order of the ocean is reset once again. Raw muscle gives way to the power of collective intelligence. Beneath the deep blue waters of the polar region, a quiet lesson in survival unfolds. The target is an ice floe rising only about 3 feet above the surface, where a seal rests in complete complacency. For the orca pod, this is not merely a hunt, but a field lesson in how to overcome some of the harshest terrain in the ocean. Under the guidance of the mother orca, the hunting formation begins to spread out with the precision of a highly disciplined formation. Each individual, weighing around 13,000 pounds, moves in perfect coordination, striking the water with powerful tail beats to compress thousands of gallons of water into a massive artificial wave aimed directly at the target. This is wave washing, a technique that turns the ocean itself into a directional force. If the ice still holds, the pod immediately adjusts its angle, using the momentum of its immense mass to overcome even the most stable structure. In their world, collective intelligence is the ultimate lever of power. As the ice tilts downward, a new order is firmly established. Without chaotic confrontation, patience and strategy allow the orca pod to confirm its place among the ocean's most dominant strategic animals. One lesson in survival comes to a close, preparing the way for a new generation of highly skilled hunters. The ocean is not only a home, but also a high-stakes race for these silver arrows. At speeds exceeding 20 miles per hour, dolphins move with complete confidence, relying on their ability to turn in an instant. But when the dark dorsal fins of an orca pod slice through the surface, speed is no longer a safeguard. A calculated pursuit begins. Without wasting a single movement, the orcas immediately form their positions. One group stays close behind, pushing the target into rapid energy loss, while others surge forward to seal every possible escape path. The difference lies in spatial control. Orcas do not simply chase. They cut angles, narrowing the movement corridor of their target. When one dolphin becomes isolated, the outcome becomes difficult to reverse. An adult orca, weighing around 13,000 pounds, launches more than 15 feet above the water, using its mass to generate a powerful impact that disrupts the animal's balance for a brief moment. This is a contest between some of the most intelligent minds on the planet. Dolphins rely on speed to survive, but orcas rely on geometry to dominate. As the formation breaks apart, the ocean falls into a heavy silence. Stepping to this water's edge also means entering the crocodile's hunting zone. From beneath the surface, each approach is extremely fast, highly precise, and almost without warning. Even other predators can lose their advantage in a single moment. In the wild, who can hold the advantage once the crocodile has begun its move? In the Nile River basin, the impala represents speed and alertness. With a light frame and powerful legs, it can reach speeds of around 55 miles per hour, fast enough to leave many land threats behind. But at the water's edge, that advantage begins to fade. Here, the crocodile controls the rhythm. Lying low beneath murky water, it nearly disappears into mud and shadow. Every subtle vibration from the shoreline, each cautious step of its target, can be detected through highly sensitive receptors along its snout and skin. When the impala moves within just a few feet, stillness suddenly gives way to a short, precise motion. In less than a second, the force from its muscular tail drives the crocodile forward, securing the target before the surface can settle again. A narrow distance becomes a decisive advantage. Yet not every ambush succeeds. The success rate of these strikes remains below roughly 15%. After a missed attempt, the predator slips quietly back beneath the river, as if it were never there. In the wild, advantage belongs not only to strength, but to the patience to begin again. In the world of big cats, the cheetah stands as a clear symbol of speed, it can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, turning open grassland into a space few can match. But that advantage exists only briefly, before rapid breathing and physiological strain begin to build after the sprint. Everything changes when thirst draws the cheetah to the water's edge. Here, speed no longer decides the outcome. The crocodile lies low beneath murky water, waiting for the precise moment the head lowers and focus shifts to the surface. Then, in a single short movement, the water breaks open, and the cheetah must pull back with every remaining reflex to clear the danger zone along the bank. Yet that distance is not always enough to retreat. At the river's edge, a single slowed moment can reverse the roles between pursuer and the one at risk. Survival in this setting depends not only on speed, but on recognizing where control is no longer held. The tension in the wetlands does not end there. The leopard, with the agility of a master predator, sometimes ventures close to the water's edge to take advantage of food, remains near the shore. But at that boundary, the crocodile holds the full advantage. A single, sudden movement from beneath the murky water is enough to force the cat to pull back, using every bit of reflex and speed. In other situations, when the leopard is forced to cross areas under crocodile control, the balance can shift rapidly. In a critical instant, it struggles to break free from a powerful grip. At such close range, timing becomes the deciding factor. Along this fragile boundary, survival often belongs to the one that understands the environment better than its rival. Across the murky wetlands of Africa, the hippopotamus appears like an unshakable fortress. Weighing around 4,000 pounds, with skin nearly 2 inches thick, it commands the water with absolute confidence. Yet beneath the gaze of these giants, a silent presence waits with patience. The crocodile, a master of ambush, never rushes. It tracks the smallest movements, keeping its body perfectly concealed below the surface. When it edges too close to a pod's territory, the hippos respond with forceful territorial pressure, driving the intruder away from the shallows. The crocodile avoids direct confrontation. Instead, it relies on precision and timing to search for a gap within this tightly guarded. A single calf separated from its mother for just a few seconds can shift the entire balance. From below, multiple angles of approach close in rapidly, sealing off escape routes before the target fully reacts. In this moment, instinct and strategy outweigh raw strength. Yet the wetlands follow strict rules. If isolated among the pod, the predator itself faces overwhelming risk under collective pressure. Any attempt to resist quickly fades as group order takes hold. quiet lesson of nature. Between strategy and sheer force, the line between hunter and hunted can be as thin as a single breath. On the open plains, the lion emerges as a dominant force. But along murky riverbanks, that authority is challenged by the ruler of the wetlands, the Nile crocodile. When these two powers meet, it is not simply a contest over food, but a collision of territory and control. Tension often builds around large remains drifting near the shore, where both are drawn to the same source of energy. In a split second, the water shifts. A sudden strike, powered by a bite force measured in thousands of psi, erases any safe distance. The lion reacts instantly, pulling back toward land as the river settles into a heavy silence. Yet when the crocodile is isolated on dry ground, the balance quickly changes. With a body weighing around 1,000 pounds, its movement becomes limited. The lion uses agility and group pressure, approaching from blind angles to contain the situation. The crocodile turns repeatedly to avoid each advance, but the pressure from multiple directions leaves little room to maneuver. In the end, the wetland ruler retreats back into deeper water. Encounters like these are often brief, but they reveal a clear truth. In the wild, survival belongs to those who understand the limits of their domain. Each year, as the Great Migration sweeps across the Serengeti and the Masai Mara, vast herds of zebras and wildebeest surge towards the river crossings, like an endless moving current. Across the plains, the pounding of hooves echoes like the drums of survival. But once they reach the water's edge, that speed quickly gives way to hesitation. This is where the crocodiles have already been waiting for months. Hidden beneath the murky water, they reveal only their eyes and the top of the snout near the surface. They do not need to chase across the grasslands. What they wait for is the right moment, when thousands of animals press into the current at once and create the unavoidable chaos of a massive river crossing. Within that overlapping movement, zebras with their bold stripes and wildebeest with their heavy, solid frames are pushed into a harsh test of reflexes and formation. A single animal falling out of rhythm, drifting from the herd, or losing balance in the current is enough to break the safety of the group. That is when the crocodile brings its full advantage into play. With a bite force of around 3,700 pounds per square inch, it works to pull the target toward deeper water, where the prey's advantage fades quickly. From there, the crossing becomes a double test, as the strong current and the pressure of ambush narrow every chance to recover. Even so, most of the herd continues to drive forward towards the far bank, pressing on in a journey where every step depends on vigilance. This is not just a single act of predation, but a repeated pattern across the African plains during each migration season. Through patience and precise timing, the crocodile continues to hold its role in the balance that moves along the river of life. Along the narrowing rivers of the dry season, scarcity creates a quiet but unmistakable pressure. As water levels fall, each remaining pool quickly becomes a space of vital importance. For large reptiles that depend on the water's edge, it is not just shelter, but territory that directly influences survival and reproduction. When an unfamiliar individual crosses that boundary, the calm surface shifts almost instantly. A powerful tail sweep sends water surging upward, followed by the sharp sound of armored bodies colliding in confined space. Each display serves as a clear signal of spatial control, forcing the rival to weigh holding position against conserving energy. In this world, retreat is not necessarily failure. Often, it is the most precise decision to preserve strength and wait for another opportunity in the harsh, dry season, where a single, well-timed choice can shape the outcome of an entire season of survival. A single small misstep can shift the entire balance. On the savanna, strength only matters when it aligns with timing and precision. Even a lion can lose its advantage when an opponent reacts at the right moment. If you want to see more intense wildlife encounters like this, please like and subscribe. Because in nature, the one who survives is not always the one who strikes first.